Hello and welcome to episode 90 of the Huddersfield Town Podcast Social. The lads have had a 2-week cool down. I've got my third Town/Plymouth kit on order, and now we're back as pre-season starts to hit fever pitch. We're just under 2 weeks away until our first home game versus Austrian, and things are shaping up nicely, aren't they? Since we last joined you, Chef Kevin's been cooking up a storm with 3 more stylish signings. And talking of style, what more could any good man want than a bit of Gooch? Well, it may be getting even better as long as Kevin doesn't max out his checkbook. As the boys return after another productive trip in Austria and Andy nurses his week-long hangover, how do you think the team's shaping up to compete at the top end of the table? The bookies certainly have us as one of the favourites, but do you think we have enough pace, power and creativity to really mount an assault on the top two? Well, we're going to be discussing it tonight. And joining me, as always, is Gaz K, Ian Kilroy, Andy K, and Tristan Batley Kyle. If you didn't get any of that intro and thought it was shy, I apologise, but we'll be discussing transfers shortly. Gents, welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us already. Dean Ball, evening to you, mate. Michael Bottomley and Terrier Jack, nice to see you guys, as always. So, guys, I think the best place to start, Andy, is Austria. You've obviously been out there gathering some material for us, scouting.
Yeah.
All in all, mate, scouting for us, checking out our new signings. And I mean, to me, the highlight was a picture of Maureen waving what looked to be a homemade Merry England flag, which I think is the epitome of Northern football. But I think we performed pretty well, didn't we, mate, in the pre-season friendlies? But you take it away, mate, because you've obviously been over there.
I can't remember much of the games, to be honest. Through a distance of time, and there might have been the odd beer taken. I think that thing that Maureen was holding up, I think it was one of their warm-up shirts that may have been sponsored by Merry England, but we never really got to the bottom of that. We were too busy, as Terry Jacks put in, chinning the Greuther German ultras. They were very, very friendly. I wanted to show us all how great they were right at the beginning. Oh, look at our tifos and look at how many of their own. We've got our own clubhouse and everything. The minute when we went 1-0 up, they didn't want to talk to us. Mind you, it might have been because we ran away thinking this is going to kick off. So it did get a little bit lively. But game-wise, Schwaz game, yeah, young boys having some fun. Again, the best bit about it was just taking the mickey out of what's his face, Lee Grant, as he just connects with us so well. That's the major bit for me of the just walking out to the final countdown, and he's got a big grin on his face because we're all taking piss as he's walking past. He's just a top bloke. Style wise, you know me, I'm not your guy. I'm not going to give you any sort of tactical stuff. I'm sure you watched it yourselves, but I don't think we're anywhere near complete. I think we're defence-wise pretty solid, pretty good. You can put any back four that you like out of it all. And the second game was definitely a back three. Joe Lowe did do his knee before he went off, but I could see him sprinting in the background, so he looked fine. Tactics-wise, the press is full-on press. They're going to have to be really, really fit to get anything like that, and you'll see a lot of squad rotation, I think, throughout the season. There's going to need fit lads to be able to do it. But when they did it, it worked really well. It worked against Greuther a couple of times and against young boys. But defensively, we look all right. I think Herbie Kane looked a bit off it in the young boys game. Looked a bit better in the Greuther game. It's just we're not complete up front by any stretch of the imagination. We don't seem that creative. We're Deon Cho's working his absolute nads off up front, but still not getting anything. Taylor sticking his nose in where it isn't usually wanted and creating a bit of a kerfuffle, which was nice to see. The best bit about it for me is there's definitely a bit of team spirit there. There is definitely a feeling of they're not gonna mess about. They're much more robust than they were. Greuther were whining like absolute small children every time there was a foul. Even though if you look at the stats, they fouled us more than we fouled them, type of stuff. But just play acting for the round. We got their number 10 on a bit of a hook and sort of played with him for a little bit. But he was very good at the end, and it was all smiles and happy handshakes. But yeah, but there was some that tackle by Kasuba was one of the greatest Brexit tackles there's ever been, and I saw it from about 10 yards ago. It was brilliant, and the amount of wailing that went on. But everybody's piled in after him. When Sorensen got chinned at half time, everybody's piled in after him. There was some afters down towards the changing rooms as well, and I don't think that would have happened last year. So I think he's done something. He's got some sort of spirit brewing. In terms of the players that stood out, the two young lads, Jay and Voss, looked really, really good on when was it? Saturday. It's only 2 days ago. But Joe Taylor did well. Freddie did his lovely little turn that made Stephen Chicken almost die of surprise on the stream. But the whole setup just feels better. The way we were looked after at the Q&A, and I said this in my video diary, that just the setup is much, much better than it was. So yeah, very pleased. But as a team, I don't think they're anywhere near. And obviously we've got the rumours about what might be coming in. We need summer. It looks like we could see Evans, he got full leg brace on, full strapping towards the back end of somebody. And as he walked off to go to the coach at the end of the game, somebody said to him, are you going to be all right, Evans? And he just shook his head. Now, I think he's been for a scan today from what they were saying. I don't know whether we'll get the results of that scan, but I think they fear that he's going to be out for a while. So there's going to need to be a replacement for him, I fear. But yeah, just another great trip. So I'll stop blethering now and let you lads come in. But yeah, really, really enjoyed it. I'm knackered now.
It's such a shame on Evans, isn't it? Because it looked to be kind of getting back into things a little bit, and it's typical time, though, isn't it? I were expecting 3 or 4 injuries from this trip, I've got to be honest, so it's less than I thought.
Yeah.
But you don't want to see somebody who's building their way back into the team suddenly be out for 6 months or whatever. I'm speculating there.
Don't look good.
In terms of, Andy, just before we go on, like formations, mate, in those 2 games, are we talking sort of 4-2-3-1 formation?
Yeah.
Is that what he's thinking to?
Yeah, it was definitely somebody up front on their own, supported by whoever could get there, whoever was playing in the nominal 10 role. The reborn and quite frankly bulked up Bojan Radulovic was doing it second half in the Greuther Fürth game. I wasn't quite sure who was doing it in the young boys game. But yeah, there was definitely one up front. Dion Charles, God bless his little cotton socks, ran around like you wouldn't believe, but still nothing fell to him, nothing dropped. Just got no look at all. It fit. The thing is that when the press is on, the press is on. When we watched them in training, they were practicing the press for 20-25 minutes, and they will absolutely bomb on, and we will get caught out from time to time this year. But when it comes off spectacularly, and it's exciting to watch when they're piling in and getting off it. But yeah, it looked to be 4-2-3-1, I think, in the young boys game, and it was definitely a 3 at the back in the second game. But with I can't remember who the 2 fullbacks were. Jay was one of them, I think. But yeah, it looked to be a 1 up top, and there's a variation on a 3 and a 4 at the back. But yeah, I've got concerns about the midfield. The nothing creative. Harness, I'm yet to be convinced by. I'm absolutely not sure. I don't know. I can't think of anything that he's done yet. Ben Wiles looked good in the young boys game, I thought. Maybe Kane did as well, spraying it about a bit. But and so did Evans. Ledson, I think he's going to be a class above, but just lacked that bit of spark that I was hoping Harness would bring in, but hasn't done it for me yet. So jury's out on him for me.
It's early days, mate. I'm sure it'll come good.
Yeah.
Tom Kelly reposted the stream. Cheers, mate. Good to see you, Tam Fan Channel. HMS Piss for League. Well, we'll see. Maybe not quite yet. Maybe, but time will tell. Ian, I guess this is when we start to see little patterns of play developing. We can start to do things a little bit more now as we've moved on from like the Emily game, for instance, where it was just little bits. We're starting to see more kind of settled formation, tactics starting to come into play. And for me, I thought we look a lot more aggressive, certainly. A lot more high press, high energy. We look fitter, but slow at the back, prone to the counters, as Andy said. Are you starting to see little things developing, mate? How are you seeing it? Is there anything that's concerning you? Anything that you like at the moment?
Yeah, yes on both counts, Nick. I'll start off with the positive here, in that I didn't expect to see Town play in the way they have and then come out with it myself thinking we're going to have a decent season, but that's where I find myself. I think we're going to be okay. And I've got some, I won't say high hopes, but decent enough hopes. And this is prior to anyone else coming in, but where we're at the moment. And with Andy, I think we're struggling a little bit when it comes to creativity. But if you just go back through the last few games, I think you got to look at it and break them down game by game. Like Barrow was high press. That's what that main focus was. Press high. We got a win from a very unlikely source. But it was all about pressing high, working hard. That's what you do in pre-season. The Lincoln game was a bit of a worry, to be totally honest. Now, we found ourselves 3-1 down in 71 minutes in that game. And okay, we came back and won the game 5-3 at the end with some late goals. But in pre-season, in the end of games like at Emley, we chucked our B team in and got absolutely pumped at the end and lost that game. I'm not entirely sure who Lincoln had on the field at that point in that game, but we put a strong team out to finish it and found a way to win in 120 minutes because they played 260 minutes instead of just 90 minutes. Whatmough had a couple of issues in that game as well. I think it's his first game in a long while, but he got caught on the ball early doors. And there were just a few things defensively that I thought wasn't great. Then obviously we've gone over to Austria, and I thought young boys were far better than we were, and quite unfortunate not to be out of sight before we ended up turning the game round and managed to get a draw. I thought Taylor's finish was good from a poor bit of keeping, but to be honest, there were enough chances in that game for young boys to win that 2-3-1. And my problem with the way we've played up until there, even including the Fürth game, but remember they played before, and didn't they, Andy? They played a game against a third division German side, so we only played half of their first team. It wasn't their first team versus our first team, whereas we put a couple of lads like say Jay Sway and Voss. It was a lot more first teamers from them that they had, and we managed to get a win, but I don't think it was fantastic either. I thought it was better than young boys, and it's hard sometimes to the commentary because honestly the Town commentary is so much better this year, but it's still a little bit biased when it comes to our performing compared to how the other team we're playing against are doing. I don't think we've battered any team in any game, and I don't think we've created enough in any game so far, bar the end of the Lincoln game. My biggest worry at the moment is the way in which we're pressing, because it won't work when it comes to the season in League One. You cannot press the way we've pressed in these pre-season games so far. So I'm looking at them thinking, right, we're going to go with a back four, probably a 4-2-3-1. Andy, like you're saying, they were a back three, but it's a lopsided back three in that it would have been a back four where we were under pressure, but we weren't. And what that means is the right-hand side fullback at the moment is the guy that pushes further on. Everyone else adjusts. And I see Rowan on the left back side. He will be that third centre back, I think, for most of this season, with Murray Wallace as a backup because he played that role against, I don't know if it was Barrow. I think he might have done it against Barrow. I think he's a backup there. So I think that's something we'll see, this fluid, the thing that Michael Duff used to talk about all the time, didn't he? He played a fluid, transitional kind of formation. It's going to be even more obvious at the moment with Lee Grant because we can see it. I'm just worried about this high press. Because first off, I don't think we've got the right players to do it. Herbie Kane can't high press. He can't press high all game, every game. And throughout the course of the season, when you've got lads like Lynden, when you've got lads like who've had injury issues prior to this, if you're asking for a high defensive line, you got Whatmough, however you want to pronounce his name. Lads that have had injuries. Murray Wallace hasn't played many games up until this season either. If you're playing high press, high tempo, it doesn't fit with the players that we have just yet. So it actually, when I'm looking at these last few games, I'm seeing things that are good. I like high energetic football. I like the way Lee Grant turns tempo up. Not necessarily just the high press, but the ball gets back into play quickly. And that you can create extra chances to score from that. And it's one thing I always struggle with watching football, and I don't understand why more teams don't do it. But there's a lot of things that are going on at the moment, and it's evident from Lee Grant that looks like good basic football sense. There's just issues for me looking at this press because I really don't think you can play for that. In pre-season, you can because you change your team at half-time or you change at 60 minutes. You can change quite a lot of players because that's what pre-season's for. But come game one against Leyton Orient, if you press like this for 45 minutes, Leyton Orient stick back for 45, and then when you tire, that's when they try and turn it on. Gamesmanship changes when it gets to the real season. And at the moment, I feel what we've seen is positive, but not enough for me to go, yeah, we've cracked it just yet. I think we're going to have to adapt again to what we've got. I'm looking forward to seeing what Lee Grant can do. And Burnley will be a really good one this weekend because it's a very different team. Because even there, their backups will be much better than what we've faced so far. So if we do press all game and we keep a static 11 for 70, 80 minutes, I think we'll learn a lot more about how we can go going into the season. So yeah, it's been good so far. Good enough. Like you say, Andy, the morale looks a lot better, but that's what you're going to get with Lee Grant. He talks so well when it comes to positive motivation and that kind of thing. He's going to get on well with fans, and it'll buy him an extra 2 games if we're losing quite a few of them before everyone turns on him. It won't last that long. But everything else looks good. It's just these things on field at the moment where we've not had a hard enough test for me to be sold on it, because I just think that press is very, very high for the defenders that we've got and for the fitness of the midfielders that we have, and even the strikers that we have. Joe Taylor was injured quite a bit. He's already taken a bump this year. Like Evans is out. Ledson's injured already. We don't know where Chapman is. There's all sorts of injuries all over the field already. And I'm thinking, are we still doing this high press stuff? Because I don't know how that's going to go. But that's all where I'm at the moment. So I'm not fully down on it. I'm just thinking we're going to have something a little bit toned down, but he's an inexperienced manager, and good managers, when they're learning, do adapt how they play and how they approach games. I'm just hoping that's what we'll see in the next preseason game going into the real season.
Well, he said in the Q&A he'd rather win 5-3 than draw 1-1. So I think he's going to back his way of playing, and it does seem to be his way of playing. You're absolutely right. We will get caught out by it. Things will go wrong. But I think he's and he does talk very well. You're absolutely right. I think he's banking on building up a bit of momentum, but they've only just been doing it for 4 or 5 weeks, and so it will take time for them to get to a situation where they're comfortable with it. But you could see 6 or 7 changes per week in the squad, I think, because players are going to be knackered. Because like you say, you might get to 70 minutes and get subbed off, and whether you can go again, Tuesday, Saturday, and do 70, 80 minutes of this hard work. And they are working a lot harder. It seems that way anyway. There's the skill level, the creativity level is not where you'd want it to be. It's not HMS Pistol League just yet in terms of that. Yeah, he's going to have to manage people. He's going to have to manage egos. He said in the Q&A that he felt that the most important people in the squad are the players who are not playing, because he's going to have to manage a lot of people. He's going to have to look after people that want to be playing every week. He talked about with the goalkeeping situation, although I think that's slightly changed with potentially Chapman being out for a while. But yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. But he seems to be impressing everybody that's coming into touch with it. From somebody that from within the club have said he's Corberan-esque, but he's more organised than Corberan ever was. So somebody at the club has said he's the best one we've had.
Who said it? Who said that? I want that on paper.
I'm not revealing my source. Listen, I'm in the know. I'm in the know. It's somebody that you will be surprised at, and somebody that takes some impressing, put it that way, and who's been there and seen it and done it. So for that person to say what he said, lad must be doing something right. So, fair dues to him. But you're right. He's a rookie manager, and he will get things wrong. But he has got these guys that are around him, very impressive. Paul McShane, very impressive. The other 2 haven't seen so much of. But he said that he thought those 3 were the best signings that he'd made this season so far, because he deliberately went to recruit people that were better than him in the situations that he wanted them to be in. So the attack coach, the defence coach, the goalkeeping coach are better than he thinks he is. And they just seem to be very well switched on. They're good people. So, I'm quite impressed. No terrier jacket. It wasn't Rambo.
I'm going to add these comments on because last time I can show them here, but they're so small. I don't think anyone can read them in this bottom corner. So I'm just going to add them, guys, I think. But I think, Gaz, I think you're right. I think, I think Grant's admitted himself that we need at least 3 or 4 more signings, don't we? I think ideally you want 3 players for every position, because I think there's got to be a lot of rotation. He's kind of alluded to that. We're going to be chopping and changing formations. It's going to be intense. And I mean, let's be honest, it has to be more press than last season. I think there were more movement in Madder to Swords. Like I said, last season in our midfield, it was just stood still doing nothing. So anything's going to be better than that. But Daz, 2608, evening to you, mate. Thanks for coming in. JR Special, even though you're a Lincoln fan, you keep coming back for more, mate, and we appreciate it. Stephen Shepherd, hi to you, mate, as always. Gaz, do you like what you see, mate? I mean, I've been relatively impressed, mate, but it's early days, isn't it? You never quite know with friendlies, do you?
No, I would point out that people are now saying we're having the second coming of Radulovic and the Dapo after the friendlies. So I think that tells you.
I witnessed it. I was there. It happened.
He's fucking
miserable old sod. Come on, Boja.
Fucking bollocks. So he takes that shit haircut somewhere else, the fucking better. I'm not. I watched the young boys and then the Greuther game on the telly, and he was fine. And I think, yeah, you see the press. I'm hoping, taking your point, Ian, that when we get to league games, to proper competitive football, he teaches them to play the press at the right time, because that's what the good pressing teams do. They don't press for 90 minutes because you can't. It's physically impossible. And when you've got a defence that, even with our new players, doesn't look like it's lightning. You know, the centre halves is signed. I'm not sure there's much pace in those four boys. So an half decent team, you press them too high and too hard, they're just going to pick you off, stick it down into the channel. But that if they've got rapid strikers or wingers, you know, the Lynden Orient game, like JR says, you know, imagine Karoma getting down our left up against two centre halves on his own. We're going to be in a world of trouble. So, you know, I was really impressed with.
We won't be if he's 1-on-1, Gaz.
Say again.
We won't be if he gets 1-on-1.
He'll be fine then. It's only when there's two he looks good, yeah. But I was really impressed with Boston on Saturday. I thought he really looked really tidy. You know, and actually physically looks like a bloke. So, you know, maybe that's a positive. We don't really know, do we? Let's be honest. He don't really tell us a lot, does it? But we're not putting teams to bed. And also, my big worry is I know we're going to come on to signings, but we are so bereft of any quality in centre midfield to create football. You know, people saying sign Alfie May alongside Taylor. That's the League One. Who's going to give him the fucking ball unless we hoof it 30 yards from a centre half? So it was fine. I mean, you were there, and I was really pleased with the getting stuck in as well. That's one that did please me, because we've been powder puff. The last 2 seasons, we have been so soft in every challenge. People wimping out of 50-50s. I haven't seen any of that, which is good, really good to see. So, yeah, it's been okay. I guess I'm with you, Kel. I think Saturday will tell us probably where we are in terms of League One football with the coming season. But if Kev's going to bring some more bodies in, we really need them. Because as we keep saying, we've got a really tough first month, haven't we?
It's all tough, mate. It's all tough. Tristan, I mean, I just hope to God it's better than last season, to be honest. But just, where are you with it, mate? Positive? Concerned?
Yeah, I think a bit of everything, to be honest with you. I don't disagree with what the guys have said. I think the pressing element for me, I think they are in better positions. You know, we was it Schofield that was manager when we played that Burnley the first game of the season a couple of years back, and we were like, oh, high press, brilliant, and they pressed from really odd positions. They pressed as individuals. At least we seem to be pressing together, and it seems to be kind of more coordinated in what, you know, in how we're trying to press. And I think, you know, the press isn't in gung-ho to some extent. You know, it is a high press, but I don't think it's not everyone kind of you know, abandoning ship and just piling on up, you know, to try and win the ball back. It seems to be quite you know, coordinated, and so yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Completely agree. The creativity, you know, is the biggest concern, isn't it? But I think the reassuring piece to some extent is that everything that we do hear from the club and from Grant, and, you know, the murmurings that we hear are the right murmurings. You know, I think there's been mentioned the other lad from Birmingham today, Leonard. You know, that for me is probably a sensible kind of signing, that, you know, it's a bit of quality, but it's also in a position that we actually need someone. I think people were getting a little bit twitchy that we just kept signing defenders, but in reality, we needed it. We Turton, Ruffles, Tom Lees, Pearson, Spencer. We lost a load of defenders last year, so we needed to replace them, and we seem to have replaced them. I think probably fairly well. Time will tell, but I think there's some decent players amongst that group. So yeah, all in all, I think I have some hopes, but I do agree that we're by no means the finished article. I feel like pre-season's gone quick. We've kind of, I know we've played 4 or 5 games now, but it don't feel like almost like that's enough to some extent, and then we're into it. So yeah, we'll see where we are.
A tinge of positivity with a shed load of pessimism is the town fan mantra, isn't it? I think, yeah, look, it's so hard in it because there's seasons where we've absolutely smashed it in pre-season and thought we'll absolutely mustard and then lost first 10 games. Do you know what I mean? You and vice versa. So it's very, very difficult, I guess, to judge it. But I think we're desperately short creativity, of course we are, and I'm hoping they're going to. I think that, but those kind of signings are the ones that drag on, aren't they? Those are the difficult ones, the ones that score you goals, that create for you. Those are the ones that people want to hang on to. That takes more time, and that's what I'm hoping, that we've got the easier ones out of the way, and now it's a case of waiting for the right ones at the other end of the pitch. Anything else to touch on Austria before we move on? No.
The only thing I'll say is on the press stuff. No, quickly on the press stuff. It's all right saying we can't press like this all game. We know we can't, but then I just don't know why we haven't tried not to in any of these games so far. Like if we're saying we can't press like this all game because you will get burnt out and you've got to adapt it, and I'm with you on that. I just thought we'd have seen it by now, and we really haven't. And I don't want to put too much of a downer on it, but I just want it to be noted that for an inexperienced manager not to try a different system in pre-season when he's never had one before, I find quite strange and quite worrying. Normally, you'd have tried something different at some point, and we haven't at all. It's been the same thing over and over again. Apart from Ladapo at 10, Bojan at 10, different random people at 10. I think I'd have had a shout at 10 if I would have made it, Andy. Anyone's had a go. Surprised you didn't take your boots for it. But yeah, I'm with you. The creativity looks lacking throughout, but that's no surprise. It's a weird press as well. Quickly on that, I know I'm going over and over it, but like you say, Tristan, it's like the front 4 press really high. Wiles or whoever was at 10 was a trigger point. He was the guy that went. Then everybody else kind of adjusted to it. We didn't really press in midfield so much. It was initial press, straight line. We went at him. If he kind of broke through there, then we set in a little bit deeper. It wasn't like fully at it all the time. And that is quite a difference. But no, we've you can see where the holes are, and they're still the same thing as last year. Because if you don't have creativity, what you normally have is width and pace that is quite direct at times. We don't have that either, because the only person that we did have that could do that, Josh Koroma's gone. Sorbatonus could kind of do it as well, but obviously he wasn't here last year. And I don't feel like we've replaced them at all with wide guys. Harness is more of a 10. He played as a second striker, didn't he, last year at Derby, and that's when he did the best there. So we don't really have anybody out wide at all, because Ruskin, we'll get onto that later on, he's never going to be in a winger for me. I'll put it on record at this point. He's a fullback doing a job that he's not natural at. You can see when he gets the ball high, he doesn't have that instinct to go to goal. You can see him looking for an overlap. He's the fullback playing higher. Sorensen does the same thing really when he's on the other side. We just don't have anything to make up for a lack of creativity in the middle. And one thing that did show where the press cost us really badly against Young Boys was the goal came from Herbie Kane not marking, because they were fucked. He didn't track his runner because they were fucked after running for 60, 65 minutes. And obviously we're not in fully pre-season condition yet, and we hopefully will get there over the next few weeks. It's just one of those things, like you say, with Scoffer there, Tristan. New managers often come in with that. We're going to work harder than everyone else. We're going to run harder than everybody else. Everybody wants to do that, but experienced guys realize you can't do it, and you have to learn to adapt. I'm just looking forward to see that curve, because I think it's going to happen pretty quickly, and we'll see a different way of playing sharpish.
I think he will adapt. Sorry, Trist, I'm just thinking, because I mean, he's talked about willing to use different formations and adapt to certain situations and get players in who are very versatile. That's been a theme this pre-season. So I think there is a willingness to chop and change things when needed. That gives me a little bit of encouragement that he's not just going to be rigid to one way of playing and that's it. But I do think that there certainly needs to be more of a Preston last season. And I am liking the energy. As I say, I mean, the proof of the pudding being the eating. But I am encouraged by that because there was zero press last season. It was embarrassing. There was no energy levels whatsoever, certainly in the second half of the season. So I am grateful to see a bit of that. As I say, it might, as you say, mate, it might all go to shit, and we might be 8 games in and we've only won 2 and half the team's injured. But it could easily go the other way as well, couldn't it? I guess it's about getting the numbers in. So when we do start getting injuries, when people get tired, we've got equal quality to bring off the bench, which we just didn't have last season. But go on, Tris, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think he probably is going to stay with it, though. That's the thing. All the noise that's come out, Northern football, aggressive, Grant consistently said about being aggressive, and we were kind of wondering what this kind of aggression would be. And I think that's it. I think he is genuinely going to go out and try and play the game that way all the time. And so, quite as Killer says, the challenge will come when someone is able to kind of beat that press. Now, this year they're into Birmingham in the league, and so it does take decent players, like the Korean lad that was at Birmingham, that could get on the ball and could pass the ball through the lines. It does take someone with that quality. Does the league have a load of players with that quality? No, they don't. So then I guess it then comes to how else do they play through the press. Last year we seemed to get done kind of that diagonal ball in behind the fullbacks. So again, we've still got Sorensen, we've still got Miller and Ruskin. So is that problem still going to be there? It depends, I guess, whether we play 4 at back or 3 at back. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be 4 at the back. So, it's that question mark around quite a number of times. I think maybe Stevenage away was a good example where they kept putting ball into, big lad up front who was running the channels, cut into the area of the box and lashed one past goalkeeper sort of thing. So, I think we're just going to have to see, aren't we?
Paul Tyndall says we haven't actually played a game that matters. They all matter, Paul, mate. If we don't win every game, I go into full meltdown, mate, for 2 days. Honestly, I'm fuming. Is anyone worried about a lack of pace in this side as well, by the way? Because we've signed a load of defenders, but none of them seem to have any pace. I mean, they all seem decent defenders, but lack of pace has been an issue for quite some time now, I would argue, particularly at the back, which is what did us last season. Are we worried about that, or do you think we can accommodate?
You don't need to be fast when you've got Josh Feeney, who looks like probably the best defender we've ever had. Feeney has been incredible in pre-season. Honestly, for a guy that was at Shrewsbury, who obviously weren't great last season, and when you're a defender, if you played in a not great team, a good comparison here is Goodman as a goalkeeper at AFC Wimbledon, in that he looked fantastic last year because he didn't have much to do. He's been asked a few questions so far for Town, and he's made a couple of errors, which I don't think many of us would have expected him to make already. We thought he was going to come in and be like steadfast from day one. He's not that. I'm not saying he won't start. I'm not saying he won't feel his way into position, but he's not quite as solid as we thought. And I think all of a sudden it brings back into question, is it Nichols or is it Goodman who's going to start? Whereas Feeney's kind of the opposite in that he's played in a terrible defence in Shrewsbury, looked okay in a poor unit, come to us. And honestly, I think he's been the standout player for us this pre-season. And it's hard for a defender to do that. But when you're looking at expectations to reality, I think his positional sense is fantastic. And if you looked at the 6-7 centre-backs or whatever we've brought in, if you include Rowan and whatnot, I wouldn't have had Feeney starting at all and was more of a fringe player. But if you're looking on effort and performances alone, he's been the best of the lot. And I think he's really brought himself into contention to start next to Whatmough, because he's gonna start in a jack. He's not come not to start. He's, if fit, a championship defender, albeit with a lack of pace. But Feeney's positional sense and his sweeping would be good enough to cover that, Nick. So I'm not particularly worried about the defensive pace, because although Grant did speak of a high press from the back as well, like a high back line. It's not been that. That hasn't been the high back line. It's been a little bit deeper than I thought, which is a good thing because it shows a little bit of a willingness to adapt. So I'm not as worried because Feeney's a much better defender than what I expected. I'm just a little bit worried about how resilient Joe Lowe's going to be because he seems to be injured every couple of minutes already so far. He's got the town curse, hasn't he?
Yeah, Terry Jack says, I think, did he pick up a card, Feeney? So he's not going to be eligible for, is it the first home game? And then I think he's all right after that. Paul Crowley says we definitely need an 8. Someone who looks forward, not sideways, pass it back. Yeah, I think we're short of someone really who can dictate play a bit, who can get on the ball, slow it down, speed it up. We don't really have that kind of player. We certainly don't have a player who can unlock a defence, do we? Let's put it that way. So there's still lots of work that needs to be done. But let's move on from Austria, and very quickly we'll come away from the team a sec just to talk about our new third kit, which I initially thought was the second kit, I assume, but then learned quickly it was a third kit after I'd ordered it. But anyway, it's nice green kit, which split opinion, didn't it? Some people hate it, say it looks like Plymouth. Some people loved it, thought it was a bit different. Green, obviously different green to Plymouth with a gold trim. Guys, Gaz, what are your thoughts, mate? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you not give a shit? What's your...
I'm a 53-year-old man, so probably wearing one of them is not a good idea in the first place, but I actually quite like it. I think it's a bit different. A bit of British racing green going on for you old boys who remember that colour. But yeah, I think that certainly this... Is it Castor or Castor? What we calling them?
Is it Castor, is it?
CA Store? Castor.
Castor in Yorkshire, isn't it?
Well,
Castor.
Although everybody's talking about the quality of the kits being shite, I have to say I think the designs look pretty good on the face of it so far, the ones I've seen.
Guys, any thoughts on it? I really like it. I just thought it was something different. I just like to see something different rather than same old colours being wheeled out every 2 minutes. But I appreciate that it's different, and some people won't like it. But Terry Jackson's the sponsor ruins it.
They obviously want to roll out the gold, don't they? So it goes quite well with gold. You know, I think it's quite a nice kit. Apparently, the other kit's coming out at the end of this week.
Are we getting a new signing to unveil it? That's a question. Is that what we're waiting for? An Alfie May and Max Leonard double signing to sport it? Be nice. Yeah, I'm all for it. It's something different, but I'll look a pillock in it. But I have ordered one, so just because I quite liked it.
You've got the amps for it though, Nick, so you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, well yeah, mate. Honestly, I've got the body for it, but it's just my face where I fall down. But stadium, I saw some pictures of it with a new sponsor, the new name, looking really nice. They're doing the shop out. It's all looking nice down there, guys, isn't it? And I think one thing that you can't kind of have a go at Mr. Nagel for is the developments that they're trying to do down there and make things better. I just hope they can sort the sound system out. But, I mean, again, it's just little by little. It's just little improvements in it, kind of season on season. And I think it looks really, really smart. I mean, what do you think? Andy, are you pleased with it?
It does look smart, yeah. I like the blue. I think the green kit's horrible. That said, I'll probably buy it. Yeah, I hate it. It's horrible. It's not great. The bit of gold in it, I don't like it. But then I didn't know I was 7 years older than Gaz. So that's another thing that's freaked me out tonight. So I hope they.
How do you not know how old your brother is?
It's just the way that we are in Huddersfield families, isn't it? We never know. know. Yeah, it's not for me. But I think that there's certainly the stuff on the outside from what I've seen. Obviously, being away, I've not been down, but it looks really smart. So yeah, you can't fault him for that. I don't know if there's been any movement forward with any of the stadium stuff, or whether we're having to wait for this group in Halifax who are trying to kibosh the Shea, or what's going on. There's been any movement from Kirklees on the potential Gasworks Stadium for the Giants. But yeah, can't fault it. Can't fault it in terms of the effort that he's putting in there. It looks like a cracking place. The only worry is how many people are going to be in it. I know season card sales, the amount are up. Kev's been very coy with whether he's telling us how many people have actually bought, but he's telling us we sold more monetarily. So fair dues. That's what he wanted to do, and we're now starting to pay a little bit more for stuff. £6 or £10 for the streams. I mean that thing with the beer prices. I know so that was a Stereophonics, wasn't it? So that's not town prices, but it wouldn't surprise me if they've gone up. I think we're going to be more monetized. So, but that's what has to happen if we want to sign players like we potentially do. We're going to have to pay out more for it. So, more power to his elbow. Good lads. But, it would just be great to get some progress on what happens with it, because I think once we've got it, then we're in a good place to start developing. So, that's the next real big move forward with the stadium, I think, isn't it?
I won't be happy till we've got one of them big dome screen TVs, mate. One of them big,
a jumbotron in the middle.
Yeah, mate. That's
suspended.
I'm all for that. Yeah, that's what I'll be happy.
What do they call that thing at cricket where it bombs around and you can move it about a bit? One of them, a massive jumbotron, and one of them.
Nobody cares about cricket. I don't know how many times.
Christ almighty, just because you're not bright enough to understand it.
The giant terrier's head that breathes fire when they come out onto the pitch. That's what we need, isn't it?
Don't write it off, guys. Don't write it off. We need a big jump. We can do all sorts of half-time entertainment, can't we? Like kiss cams, and as long as we don't
spider cam. That's right. Like Steve Shepherd is spider cam
situation.
Maybe this is what we need to do for this season. Maybe right. Last year we had Ellie Sacks and we had that firework display as well, didn't we? And we had floodlights. Or was that the year before? Was that the end of the previous season?
That was the year before when it was floodlights.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to get at one point this season, because there's always something. There's always some wonderful entertainment idea that will come out. So, boys, we'll go away and we'll have a think about that. We'll come back in another episode with our prediction.
Let's get people to
the most ridiculous thing that'll happen this season off the field at a town game. Because
are there any American-owned teams in League? Any other American-owned teams in League One? Because that's when he tends to want to pull the old fireworks out in it, and the LA Saxons of this world. So,
is Liverpool owner American? Or is he Russian?
Russian, I think.
Chris knows he's Russians.
Pretty much the same, aren't they? I don't know.
Terrier Jack says UFC at town, yeah.
Yeah, he's been pictured, hasn't he? He was there when he with his Tottenham fan that he's turned into a town fan. I saw that on their Twitter. But yeah, I don't know. It seemed to me. Oh, there we go. Here we are. I think JR Special get himself involved here. Look at him. Lincoln is owned by Yank, so that'll be it. That's when he'll pull the pom poms out and the cheerleaders. Yeah, we'll get Ellie Sacks in front of you, mate.
Could be Dallas Cowgirls, mate. It could be that. Could have his own. I don't know, Terrierettes or something. I don't know. Cheerleaders. That could be next. That could be next thing. I don't know. Right.
We had them, didn't we? We had them. I'm sure we've had Terrierettes. Or is that the Giants I'm thinking of? The Giants have got cheerleaders, haven't they? Or they did have.
I think at one point, but it was like fucking 50,000 of them. I think they're all like 8 years old, and there were about 200 of them, weren't there? Which kind of but that didn't last very long, did it? I don't think.
No.
So let's move on then. So it's been a while on it. It's been a couple of weeks. We've had a few signings, and we did his little episode with his thoughts on Owen Goodman. And Andy, you said you haven't been convinced so far, mate, with his performances.
No.
I mean, he came in with quite a big reputation, Golden Glove last season and Wimbledon, although, I mean, they weren't amazing side, but he kept 25 clean sheets. 25
clean sheets, yeah.
So...
yeah, it just doesn't look like he commands his box. There was an incident in the Greuther Fürth game where he should have, Nichols or anybody who's got any sort of height about him would have come out and cleaned it out. And T-shirt kind of Steve Shepherd, yeah, we'll have a bit of that. And he didn't. He just sort of stood on his line, and it was the bit where they scored, but it was offside because the lads got a touch on it. But yeah, he just didn't look confident at all. And when we were he's been away from the squad, hasn't he? And so he's not done the full pre-season with them. So literally, he's going into his second week at Town, and he just looked like he was a bit unsure. But for me, the fact that he started the last 2 games indicates that he's going to be playing, and that Nichols has got to be off. I think Nichols will definitely be off. But because at the Q&A, he said that all loan signings are signed on Town's terms, so there's no stipulation from Crystal Palace that he's got to play X number of games. They are signed, and then we select them as we want to select them. So you'd hope that, if he was better than that, Terry Jack, just seen you commenting about being statistically better than he certainly did. He didn't look it in the Greuther Fürth game, and I can't remember who was. He might have been in goal for the young boys game as well. But I think it's a lack of confidence. I don't think he's not a good goalkeeper, but I think it's probably just getting to know people. He doesn't know them well enough. He's only played with them for a week or so, so you'd hope that would build. But yeah, jury's out for me on that one. It's a step up from League 2, but he's probably playing against better teams than he would anticipate playing against in League 1. Greuther Fürth and young boys, that they're going to be a higher standard than what we're coming up against. Not you're reading anything into the results, but he's going to. I think Steve Shepherd's right. He needs a bit more time to bed in. So jury's out, but not convinced. Yeah.
Ian, Whatmough, you'd already mentioned, mate. Preston, 28 years old, right-sided centre-back, championship quality. Did really well in Wigan season when they got promoted, and he's obviously got the experience, not the quickest, and I think he probably needs get a bit more sharpness when it comes to his passing. I think there was it in the first game, and he basically passed it straight to their attacker.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think, again, it's sensible signing, isn't it? It's steady. I don't think he's going to be a 10 out of 10 every game, but I don't think he's going to drop below a 6. I don't think he's going to be. I think it's a reasonable signing, isn't it?
I said last year, unless you have the money like Birmingham, where you can go out and buy the best players from the division above and bring them in so you can just batter everybody playing however you really want to play. And it even took them bringing Lynden Dykes in to play in different ways in games when they needed to do that to win. But unless you do it that way, you have to have in League One to succeed. I genuinely believe an arsehole at centre-back and an arsehole up top. You need a Sonny Bradley, someone like that at the back who's all elbows and arms and might not be the best footballer, but they won't fucking give up. And in tough games, they'll chuck in something nasty if they need to. They've got the master of the dark arts, that kind of thing. You need just a leader at the back, and that's what he is. We haven't had one for so long, but every good team that Town have ever had, you've had your Schindler. I know it's nice to say dark art Schindler, but again, you know what I mean? He was just physical when it needed to be. They read the game. They just know exactly what to do, when to do it. He's like that, and nobody else is. Murray Wallace can be. He's a unit, and just as a quick aside, he runs he runs in a very strange way when you watch Murray Wallace run. I don't know why. I don't know what it is with him when I see him run, but he just looks very unnatural. It doesn't look like a footballer whatsoever. But other than him, Joe Lowe ain't going to do it. Feeney's not going to do it. Even Pearson and Lees, they never really did it last season. They're not those kind of guys. But with Jack Whatmough, you get that. You get the last game I saw him play against Town. I think it must have been for Wigan. I can't remember. I think it must have been Wigan. We had Matty Wagon playing up top for us. That's how long ago it was, which is only a couple of years ago, funnily enough, though. Our squad has changed so much in such a short period of time. It's incredible. But going through the highlights, it's a 9-minute clip, right? In the game, honestly, he should have been sent off twice. He scores the winner in the end for absolutely no reason whatsoever. He goes right through the back of Wagon with his elbow. No, just setting the tempo. And it's that kind of stuff. And that's what you need to succeed, because it just puts strikers off. Whereas I think, have been too easy to play against for so long, and that's why last season we looked soft in games. It didn't matter who we were playing. Every striker that we played against looked like a world beater. They might not have scored, but we went to Burton and made them look like superstars. Northampton came up, made their strikers look like absolute world beaters. Stevenage as well. There were so many games last year where we made it easy for other teams to play, but Jack Whatmough won't. He's not fit for full seasons anymore. But you have to remember, when he first came through, he was going to be England's centre-back. He was rated so highly, and he had a few knee injuries early doors. Changes his game because he lost his pace, but he still made a very good professional career out of it. You need to have the right person with him because, like we've said, the pace isn't there, Nick, but he's a leader and he'll get involved. And we had so many games last year as well where I like to explain games come down to little split moments. Most games are very, very similar in tug and pull, that kind of thing all the way through. But then an individual flash, it doesn't have to just be the goal scoring. Just something happens to lift the team. And we didn't have anyone last year that did it. We brought Taylor in thinking he'd be the guy. He never did it. Charles, don't even get started on it. But we had nothing throughout the team from back to front. Whereas Jack Whatmough won't be like that. If it's flat, he'll lift the tempo by nailing somebody. He'll do something to lift it, like you say, Andy. Seen it in pre-season, a bit of camaraderie, a bit of a team, a bit of a culture there on the playing squad where they're fighting for each other. Players like that bring it. And okay, he's not technically the best when it comes to it anymore because physically he's not quite at it. But he gets the game and he'll help us more than most other players will that have been brought in this season, I think. I just hope he can stay on the pitch because if he is, he'll be starting every week. There's no doubt about that, Nick. For me, it's a really, really, really good signing. And the one we probably needed more than everything else. I think you can look at the strikers and you say they've underperformed, they've not scored enough. We need to find a different way to play. But when you look at what we had at the back, there was no leaders, no proper tough-ass leaders. He's that guy. And I think he'll make a big difference this year.
Well, and having Ledson as well will add to that because he's the midfield equivalent. I don't know about his previous career, but how good he was, but the lad is an absolute winner. He wiped out Joe Taylor in one of the drills, whether it was a tap B defence, and he absolutely nailed it and got him with an elbow in the chest, and he's sort of running off, and Taylor's rubbing his chest. So he's not holding back in training, never mind on the pitch. So, and you could see the way that he was holding himself and carrying himself around. That he rates himself, rightly so, and he's got very, very high standards, and absolutely flying into tackles. You understand, why he gets challenges wrong, like he got the one that did Elphick back in the day. But yeah, so if you got Whatmough and Ledson doing that, then you've got to be physical in League One, haven't you? So there's certainly a lot more toughness in the team, it would appear, at this stage in the season than there was last year. So more power to their elbow. Just got to keep Ledson on the pitch, and both of them on the pitch, haven't you? But fingers crossed.
I like it. We've got some nastiness, haven't we? That's what you need. And you got Taylor as well. Looks like he's going to nut someone every time he plays. You've got a nasty spine to the side, which we haven't had.
Yeah.
You look at the likes of Wrexham winning ugly. Sometimes that's what you need. You need to scrap. Sometimes you need to scrap a 1-0, do it dirty, and it's not going to be all nice, neat football, is it? You need people who's not afraid to get stuck in. And then Tristan, we've got Lynden Gooch from Stoke, 29 years old, right back / midfielder. Again, free transfer, 3-year deal. I think he's fine. Championship quality player, in my opinion. Versatile again, which is important. I don't see much wrong with this signing, mate. Do you?
No, certainly at Sunderland, he was really well thought of. There's a lot of high praise, and there still is a lot of high praise about him. About his ability, but also about him as an individual as well. And dare I say it, we seem like we're going back to the get people in warehouses in Cleckheaton again. But he literally does seem like a really decent bloke. My missus and lad went down to the training, the open training today, and he was one of them that was quite openly chatting with people. Some of them are a bit shy. He's a bit older and seems to be able to kind of hold a conversation with folk and stuff. So from that side of things, I think we needed some decent people as well as decent footballers. From a football perspective, like, I have no concerns over him. Yeah, he might not have got on at Stoke last year, but let's be honest, we've had people from Stoke that have, come and had sort of Sobe that had the high expectations and he were crap on it. So, I'm not too bothered whether he's done well at Stoke. I think up to this point so far at Sunderland, he's had a real solid career. So yeah, good signing, solid signing.
Yeah,
Gaz, sorry, Andy, go on.
No, they're just that in the Q&A, it was described as non-egg behaviour. So that's how they don't want people who behave like eggs. So that a lot of the people that they're bringing in, like the good humans thing, it's about making sure that they are decent human beings as well. And I think that the ones that we saw, the ones that interacted with us, they were top lads and fair dues, because that's the thing that's missing as well.
Guys, you've got a mate who's a big Stoke fan, haven't you? What did they say anything on Gooch? What I mean,
I mentioned that before, have I? Funny, I don't
yeah.
Yeah. Well, their view on him was he's a good lad. He's a decent Laker. They weren't sad to see the back of him, but he's been part of an underachieving Stoke squad for the last 2 years. But that's not his fault, I don't think. I think the one thing him and Whatmough bring is also a boatload of experience, both at League One and Championship level. I think he's played about 150 games. Whatmough's played 250 games. They know what this league's about, don't they? And I think that sometimes brings a benefit, because they know what they need to do to be able to get out of this level and play at a higher level, I would guess. And we do need a bit of that. We need a bit of guile. I think it's rather than nastiness. I think we need a bit of guile, don't we? We need to know when, and you need to know how, don't you? Sometimes, and I think that's something we've been naive. How many times have we called the team naive over the last couple of years? Some of the decisions made in game, some of the decisions made by the management team have been naive, but these seem way more solid in terms of signings. I just, as I say, I think we'll be fine. My worry remains that when you look at the people we brought in, where is that up front? Joe Taylor, he's nasty, yeah, but he's not physical. Fucking, he got his stamped on somebody twice last year. That's not nasty. That's fucking stupid. What I want him to be a Steve Claridge, because he reminds me of Claridge a bit with his socks pulled down and the way he runs. Claridge used to wind defenders off the clock. They couldn't play against him, but he never once stamped on anybody, did he? So Taylor needs to use his drive and his determination and his bit of needle. He's got to use it in the right way. Otherwise, he's going to get sent off 3 or 4 times a season. So, I don't have a problem getting squared off and having a go at folk, but just try and do it in the right way. And I think that's what you'll get with Edson and with Whatmough and with Gooch. They'll just be that bit cuter. They'll make sure they leave a foot in. They'll make sure they leave the body in the way when they have to. So they're solid signings. And I don't think they'll be, relatively speaking, I don't think either of them will be mega money in terms of salaries either. That makes them even more sensible.
Someone at the open training today described him perfectly, I think, to my missus, and said, "Have you watched Ted Lasso? Don't you think he reminds you of Jamie Tart?" and I absolutely do. I absolutely do. He's centre of attention, isn't he? And he's you're quite right, Gaz. He's not nasty. He's niggly, isn't he? He's a bit of a pain in the ass to some extent. I think it was you, Killer, that said, if Sonny Bradley squared up to him, he'd soon back down, wouldn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's that type. He'd go and kick him and run off.
Yeah, we'll see. Jed Robinson, hello to you, mate. He just said, "What about Sorensen?" And I guess, I don't know. I mean, Andy, did he kind of stand out to you in some of the games? I mean, I wouldn't say there was no way back last season, but he really struggled, didn't he? Particularly after that injury. How did he look, mate? Did he look refreshed? Did he look like he'd completely shaken that off and he was running freely and not? Because he looked a bit tentative to me, as if he was almost like guarding himself against another injury at times last season. Hope you're on mute, mate.
There we go. Back in, sorry. His most spectacular contribution against Greuther Fürth was being the lad that got smacked in the face that then sparked a brawl before half-time. That's about as much as he did, really. It just looks a bit tentative still. I think that Gooch, if he's as good as it sounds, he's going to be the guy that is going to be the starter. That's what he's been brought to have to replace, I think. So yeah, nothing about him. He's a top fella. He's a really nice kid, isn't he? But whether he's the answer to our right back problems, I'm not sure. Sorensen, and it looks a bit more chunky. Vladlovic looks to have put on a load of timber in a good way, so he's a bit more of a unit. But yeah, Sorensen, he was involved in the skirmish. That's about as much as I can say about him over the 2 games.
Tell you what, if Bojan comes on first game and scores, I'll get my hair done like him. I'll get a Bojan for the next pod.
I hope he doesn't resell it.
Yeah. Right, on to rumours. So Ross Levisage here, Alfie May, is he coming or not? I mean, by all accounts, not that I'm in the know, like some maybe, but I mean, it looks all but a done deal, which I saw it this morning and I thought it were a piss take. I thought it was something someone had posted from last season to wind everyone up, and then as it gradually came out, it looks all but sewn up. Surprising, but I mean, for me personally, is a proven goal scorer at this level. He's 31, but he looks after himself. He's more than capable of scoring goals. Runs tirelessly, works hard. He's someone that can work in a high press. Personally, I would like to see him wide left if he came rather than central, because that's where he played for Birmingham on multiple occasions, cutting in and was very effective. And I wonder if that's part of the plan to try and get more threat from wide areas. I mean, I'm all for it. 1.2 million quoted, guys, looks a bit steep to me. Probably bollocks, but quite a lot of money for a 31-year-old. But if he gets us promoted, I guess more than worth it. Ian, what do you reckon?
It's come a bit out of left field, hasn't it? I did ask a month or so ago the people that are in the know if would be in for me, because it just makes logical sense in that he didn't play as much for Birmingham as I think most people expected him to. I know he got 16 goals, did he get in the end? But he wasn't the bona fide starter every week. And it's funny though for me, if he does end up with us, obviously Charlton have done all right, better than all right. They're not here anymore. Birmingham have gone up, and he's going to be still here, stuck in League One, even though he scored the same amount of goals Jordan Rose managed for us for over a few seasons. Look, I think he's an upgrade over everybody we've got at the moment. If you're looking at who's a number 9, he's done it at this level for more than one club. He scores goals for fun. He's a bit of a pest as well. Bizet plays different. He's busier than Joe Taylor is. He does a lot more in his all-round game than Joe Taylor does for me. I think it's a no-brainer. I don't exactly know how he does fit in a team with Joe Taylor. If you want them both to score the goals, like you say, one of them's going to have to go out wide. And I know May's done it for Birmingham, but again, he's more down the middle kind of guy. So there's, again, something there for Lee Grant to work on if he gets him in. But no, 1.2 million is fuck all nowadays, is it? What did Healy cost us to put him in hospital for 2 years? So it's important when you're looking at what you're paying. It's looking at the risk of it. What do we pay for Dion Charles as well? Was that 750 rumoured? I can't remember off the top of my head. Or was it less than that? Regardless, Bolton didn't think he was good enough anymore for them. Very different when you're looking at Alfie May. Just Birmingham got promoted and he wants to play every week. Perfect signing. Honestly, it's a no-brainer for me. If we can get him in for that money, it's nothing. What would a loan from a Premier League club cost anyway if you needed to subsidise someone's wage? There's always risk involved in every signing, but Alfie May doesn't really get injured. Always score goals at this level. Still good enough to score goals at this level. Birmingham don't think he's done. They've just moved on and are playing a different way, and he's not going to play very much for them. Not like Dion Charles, where Bolton thought he'd be past his best days. It's a brilliant signing, and like you say, it's taken a pace of its own very quickly in the last few hours. In that everyone's tweeting it, so it looks to me just like every other signing this year. It's kind of leaked a few hours early, hasn't it? And then not much has come in and been surprising. Has anything this season actually come in and been out of the blue? I'm not entirely sure it has. And this one seems to be going the same way. At this point, I'd be very surprised if he's not a terrier by the end of the week. And if I was a little child getting a number 9 on the back of my shirt, I'd have Alfie May above it, because I think he'll be, without doubt, the best striker we've got at the club if he does join.
Yeah, anyone got any more thoughts on that? I agree. I'm only been tight Yorkshireman, Ian. I don't want to pay anything for anything. But it's well worth it, innit? If you guarantee 10, 15 goals from that bloke every season, and just don't say that he never gets injured, mate, because the Huddersfield Town curse strikes them all.
Hey, Nick, it's you, mate. It's you. You're saying this. If Bojan scores, he's getting his hair done. With your record on this podcast, making big calls and fucking it up, Nick. I'm running around the stadium.
I'll book my appointment now, shall I?
I thought that's your Yorkshireness, not your tightness. But you don't learn it, and you do the same thing over and over again, even though you still get fucked every time you do it.
Well, with a bit of luck, if he comes in, he'll clear out a couple, and they'll get rid of some of the dross. We've got a lot of strikers, haven't we? All playing for one position, and nobody's going to get in front of either Taylor or May for those two for that striker position. So the rest of them need to get them cleared off. Don't we get rid? £1 million, I don't know. I guess I don't know what his wages will be. Are we going to pay him what we would have paid him last time, and Birmingham was subsidising it, or what? I don't really know, but we've cleared a load of big earners off the wage bill, haven't we? Torber's gone, and Pearson and Brodie Spencer probably on decent money, and Oggs retired. So we've shifted a few quid out as well, haven't we? Since then. And if he fires us to promotion, Mark Cartwright will be out there, sit at home in his pyjamas with his feet up, in his Kevin Nagel pyjamas at home with his feet up, saying, "I fucking told you, Kev." He texted him, won't he? "I fucking told you, Kev, if you'd have just given me time, lad." But yeah, I think honestly, if we land him, I think it's a brilliant signing. Honestly, I do. I think it could be the one that makes a difference. I still worry about creativity, by the way. It's all right having the ball, but you've got to get it to them. But there won't be many defences looking forward to playing against them too, will they?
No. And Mark Leonard rumoured as well. Paul O'Rourke, one of the journalists, put it on X saying apparently we're in for him. I mean, I can't believe that, in all honesty, because I think he's an outstanding player, and I'll be surprised if he doesn't go to the Championship. But again, really, really good midfielder. The sort of signing we should be looking at. I'm getting a few Galbraith vibes off it, but who knows? If we manage to land him as well, could be good business. Trist, what do you think? Happy?
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't signed him yet, but
I think he'd be exactly what they're looking for. Although I'm not sure he's quite the number 10 that we're looking for. I think he's probably more of a number 8. But I think he's got a lot of quality, and he obviously is part of a Birmingham team that got promoted, which is always important to have people that are winners. And he although he didn't play a full part in what they did, he played a decent part in it. I think he's still quite young, isn't he? So I do wonder whether he might come on loan so that they keep him as an asset, and and if he has another good season, then he might be good to go for them next season, sort of thing.
yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? It's nice. It's nice to see us linked with these players, even when it don't come off. At least it shows the kind of ambition we've got, and it's the sort of players we should be looking at. There were them rumours about O'Brien on next. I mean, I like to go on and wind people up occasionally, and I posted a couple of things to try and wind folk up about it. But I mean, there's no chance in hell that he's coming back to town, is there? Let's be honest. There's more chance of me winning Love Island than fucking O'Brien coming back. But I think we should be moving on anyway. I don't think we should. It never works bringing old players back anyway. As good as he is, I think let's have a proper change, proper reset, fresh faces in. And I'm encouraged. I mean, has anyone heard any other friendlies, guys, listening to this? Has any of you heard any other rumours? It's been very quiet. What I have been impressed with is it's been quite close-knit this time. Yeah, a couple of things have leaked a few hours before, and we've had the odd one. But by and by, it's been a lot more. It's been much more of a closed shop in terms of information getting leaked out. I've found this pre-season, which has been good, because you don't want everything leaked out, do you? Really, it's not great, but
I can confirm that Adama Diakabi was at the game between Huddersfield Town and Greuther Fürth. I can confirm that.
Are we still not? Are we not still paying him? Do we give everyone massive contracts in the Premier League?
The two lads that saw him
forevermore.
He spoke to them like he was like the returning hero. Oh, Huddersfield, how are you? How was your season? Yeah, great. He couldn't wait to have his picture taken with him. So I don't really think he quite understood the feeling towards him. But yeah, Adama was there. He lives.
Leonard makes sense on a loan deal, as you've mentioned there, boys, earlier. But he hasn't played that much, Was it Brighton before he went out on loan a couple of times and then went to Birmingham? This is off the top of my head. I can't exactly remember. And he only started 14 games, I think, for Birmingham last year. He didn't play very much at all. So it's not a signing coming in there where you think he's going to be fantastic and brilliant from day one, and he changes like Galbraith would have done. I don't think that's a fair comparison. I know he's from Birmingham, that had a great season, but it's a different thing. As a loan, I think it'd be a very, very good option. Like you say, he can play that 8, maybe he can play the 10. He didn't have to at Birmingham because they had Dykes doing it. They had a few extra options. It's just, it makes sense on nothing more than it is Peter Hawke, who's really good when it comes to being accurate. I've heard nothing on him. But having seen Galbraith, and that was, I can't say exactly what happened, but I think it's pretty well known that Town did put an offer in for him, and it obviously didn't work out. But we must be looking at somebody for that role. And unless May is that, which I still can't see it as a 10, because he's not a 10, he's a 9. You're wasting him if you're not playing him as a 9, even as a wide guy in the front 3. We must still be looking for somebody in that role. And whilst, yes, he's played more as an 8 traditionally, maybe he's best man available, and we're looking at that as maybe we can put him into a little bit more of a 10 role. I don't know, because Wiles has been playing in that, hasn't he? And he's not played that really for us before. He's been more of a box-to-boxer. So it's interesting. It's an interesting one. But like you say, Nick, it just feels a bit like Hoyle under Lee Clark under Dean all years, doesn't it, at the moment, with the people we're signing? This pretty good again. It's pretty exciting and okay. They're not all going to work out, of course they're not. But if they don't work out, like when Dean Hall brought in, do you remember when we signed, who do we sign on the same day? Lionel Ainsworth and, was it Gary Robertson or Pilkington on the same day? One works out, one sometimes good, sometimes shit. That's how you go with. And it doesn't always work out, but at least you're spending money and at least bringing new guys in all the time. And it ain't half exciting. And okay, Burnley will be a bit of a slog on Saturday, but I am frothing for Orient game. I'm really looking forward to it already. And with the way last season ended, it's quite surprising that I feel that way about the Orient game. But I'm excited to see how we play, how the new guys we've brought in will play in a game that actually matters. It's just these signings all make sense. Still need a wide guy though.
Hello, Steve from New Zealand. Bloody hell, I wish I were in New Zealand. I was rather than Scunthorpe.
Much alike, aren't they?
Very much alike, mate. It's like it could be either. It's so hard to tell the difference. Yeah, it is nice to be linked with these kind of players. I still think we're a bit off, and I might bring this up actually. Now, don't laugh, Ian, because tactics aren't my thing. But I've just mocked up like a little 4-2-3-1 formation just with some of the players we've got, just to see. Let me see if I can bring it up, because knowing this, it won't let me. Will it not let me? There we go. I've just inputted some of the players that I think are most likely to start with some of the options. And I've put May out left just because, as I've said, I can't see him replacing Taylor in the centre. I think we're going to sign another attacking midfielder. So if he does come in, I think he could be an option wide left to bring a bit of energy, a bit of press, and to cut in, similar to what Karoma did, I guess, cut in with some goals as well. Harness on the right. But, none of us have mentioned Ben Wiles. Ian, I know you're his biggest fan, mate, but do you think in better players around him, different formation under Lee Grant, do you think Ben Wiles could maybe come into his own in that 10? Because he didn't do bad. Like, for all the stick he got last season for going absent, and his stats weren't bad, even in that tide. Do you think he could be all right this time?
He's captain when Ledson's not there every game so far in pre-season. If anybody thinks Wiles isn't a main player in this starting 11, I think you're very misguided or misjudged when it comes to picking it. I'm not saying he's going to start every week. Absolutely not. But every manager we've ever had loves him. Every manager we've ever had leans on him for his leadership abilities. And we don't see it as fans, but you can see the way people talk to him. Whether he'll be a 10 or not, I don't know. I think he's going to end up being a box-to-boxer because we'll need somebody with legs, and he's got that. I found it very strange when people were speaking about Wiles leaving and keeping Evans. Evans has offered absolutely nothing to Town since he's joined when it comes to abilities on the pitch. He might put the odd free kick in that's half decent, but he strolls about the pitch offering very little. And in this high press, high energy system, that's not what will work. Wiles will start most games, and he lasts. He's rarely injured, so he's also there. Will he become the number 10? I don't know, but when you're looking at goals and assists, as Darren Moore used to talk about, he's as good as anybody else that's not a striker, and he's better than most of them that we've got there. So I don't know if he'll end up being the 10. I hope not, because it's more exciting when you bring a Galbraith in. I think you need somebody with a bit more direct pace, especially when you're playing with a front four effectively when you're high pressing. Because we've got man for man. That's the biggest change. It's not only that we're high pressing guys, it's that defensively every man marks somebody else. And that's what makes that formation very fluid. It could be the 10, but I'm expecting him more to be the next to Ledson probably, to be honest, Nick.
I think at the moment, lads, I kind of took it from looking at pre-season and how it's shaped up. Goodman in goal. Probably, as you said, Feeney, I think, looked really good. Whatmough. But I guess Lowe and Wallace, left side, left-footed, could add some balance there. I think Rowan would be very good, left back. Gooch on the right. I think, personally, sort of looking at what we've got, we're short of another winger, at least one wide player and a central attacking midfielder. I know that Grant said to you, Andy, at the Q&A, did he say 4 or 5 potentially to come in? I think some players are going to leave, aren't they?
Yeah, that was what he hinted at. He said 4 to 5, knowing that Gooch was just sat upstairs in a bedroom, not allowed out. Well, they were there in case we released it, 2 hours before it was due to be announced to the public. He said 4 to 5, and he said like he was talking about, the people that are most important to him are the people in that are not making the team, because I sort of got the feeling that a lot of the new lads are going to be starting or in the squad. So some of the older guys that be maybe the Evanses of this world, we're going to struggle for game time. So he was going to have to do a good job of managing them. So yeah, but we're still 3 to 4 away from what he was expecting. But I would expect people to go out on the back of it.
I'll be surprised if Ruskin's still here, personally. I mean, Mikael Miller was great, I thought, when he played. I thought he was outstanding last season. And I don't know, even if he gets in, if we start bringing other white players in, I don't know where he fits in, because I can't see Rowan not playing. Do you disagree with any of this, guys? I mean, who do you think's going to go? Who do you think's likely to leave? I mean, I think Ladapo would if we could get anyone for him, but I don't think we will. So
I'm guessing you mean
mentioned Bolker.
Yeah, I'm guessing you mean Bolker leaving here, Nick, because I think that's a good shout. Obviously, my father-in-law sponsored him last season, and speaking to him, he found it very surprising how English football was. He didn't say too much more than that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't here. And to be fair to Town, it wouldn't be an unwise thing to do, in that obviously Bolker's injury record since being here has not been great. So whilst he is fit and it's a open transfer window, if Town could move him on now, I don't think that would be an unwise thing to do. I think of all the players we have, Nichols you're going to struggle to get rid of because of his wages, and I think we're going to actually have him for this season, because I think if he could have gone last season, he would have. And if anything, we can all agree on is that Nichols' performances have got worse over the last 12 to 24 months. He's not been as good as he was, yet his salary will be pretty similar. So how are we going to offload him now at this point? I think that's going to be a tough one to do without taking a hit on it ourselves. But Bolker's the guy, I think, who's odd man out when you're looking at who you could let go realistically whilst there's a market for him. And he's kind of the guy. So I'm with you on that one. I think Ruskin will stay for another few months, because I honestly think Town see Ruskin as one of the answers to being a wide guy. And even though I disagree with that entirely, I think they do see it that way.
Him and Miller.
And Miller as well. But Miller, I get he's a little bit more direct. He plays in a different way. I think there's a chance there with him. I don't feel it's too out of the ordinary to do that. But Sean Rowan will take the left centre. He'll play his left back, Sean Rowan, all season. He didn't miss a game last year for Lincoln. Kasumu's obviously another. He can play fullback as well, can't he? Actually, if we really need to. But yeah, I'm with you, Nick, on most of it. I get where you're at, mate.
Yeah, we're still short. I think that's evident, isn't it? I'm still kind of. I mean, Taylor's going to start up front. Does he work well on his own? Not really. And I know Terrier Jack said May could play behind Taylor as a shadow striker. And yeah, you're probably right, mate. Maybe that's where he will play. But I just think we're desperately short in wide areas in terms of goals and creativity. And I do think May offers that press. And I could see him being effective on that left side. But we need goals from all over the team. We can't just rely on one or two. There's got to be goals from midfield. There's got to be goals from wide, as well as the strikers. And I don't see a lot of goals in this side. There's a lot of industry. I don't see a lot of goals. we'll see. Right, let's get rid of that shite. There we go. Oh, what's going on here? There we go. So next up, Burnley friendly. Should be quite interesting, shouldn't it? Hopefully we're not going to get battered 4-0 and everyone's on a downer before we start the season. But it'll be interesting, as you said, Ian, won't it, to see how we're going to fare against them, because they're going to be a good side no matter who plays, really. It'll be interesting to see if we go with that high press tactic again against a side like that, or whether we try maybe sit deep a bit, see how that goes. Are you looking forward to it? Who's going? Is anyone going? Yeah,
we don't all have cricket, do we? We don't all waste our weekends playing this nonsense sport or going to watch this nonsense sport.
Yeah.
No, it'll be a cracking game. I think this game will tell you exactly how Town are going to start against Leyton Orient, because this is surely the time you put your first 11 out. You go, right, boys, these are your shirts to lose this week. You fucking give it a good go, play the way I want to play, and see how we can go about it. In the game, I would adjust, like I say, and try a few different things. But I think you can go into this as if it's a real game, a real situation, and play like it's a real situation. We have to do it because League One, you have to start fast. If you want to have a successful season, it's hard to chase teams down. Leyton Orient nearly did it last year, but it took a run that was phenomenal. That was one of the best runs in the history of League One. Was it 13 wins in a row? Something utterly bonkers. It was mental after we beat them, and then they went on a huge winning streak. You need to start fast, and to do that, I don't think any of us here could name Lee Grant's first 11 for that first day. I think normally you can probably name 10 starters in the first game based on pre-season. You might get one wrong, maybe two. But at the moment, I don't think many of you would be comfortable getting 6 or 7 right. Nobody really knows where Lee Grant's at when it comes to picking his starting 11. That across that back line, wouldn't have a clue. I'm not entirely sure who's going to go with it goalkeeper. But I think Burnley will tell us this weekend. So it should be a good one. So if anyone is half-assed, not bothering about going, I think it's a mistake. It is one to go down to. Because we shall see, I think, for the first time, exactly what Lee Grant's version of Northern football is.
Terry Jack says, is it available on HTT? I don't know, mate. I've not seen any sounds coming out of the club to that effect. I'll be surprised if it isn't, but I don't know, in honesty. Sure. I'm sure we'll find out. But my missus is away, so I'm stuck at a kid's party, as per usual. So I'll be desperately hoping that it is, so I can sit and watch it while loads of kids throw balloons at me and shit. Just sat like a miserable old git in corner.
What sort of party is it? They're throwing balloons and shit at you. What sort of party do you have? Bloody scunth up these days.
I did say it's scunny, mate. I did say it's scunful.
Yes, be fair to.
Yeah. I'll be sat with a beer in corner, loving life. Been miserable. I think that's it, guys. I mean, is there anything else to... How many more signings do you think we actually need then? Because I think we need probably another 2 or 3. If May comes in, another 2. But what do we reckon?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Another 3 across that attacking front, like that attacking line, not strikers, but enough strikers. We need. I think if May comes in, 2 more. Quality number 10 and somebody who can play on the right hand side as well. And to be honest, and another left winger if you get one. I don't want to be over greedy, but I'm with Killer. I don't see Miller or Ruskin as left wingers. Miller possibly, Ruskin definitely not. I think Ruskin could be one of those that goes out. By the way, I do think if we could find a note for Ruskin, we'd move him on.
Are we still in for Nathan Lowe? I'd heard that we were still in for Nathan Lowe. So whether this May signing might mean that's no longer going ahead, or I don't know. But he reckons 3 to 4 more. So
I'd be surprised if there wasn't a couple of loans, Championship or Premiership, and they do tend to wait, Premier League clubs, don't they, before sending the kids out on loan. Yeah. And I suspect it wouldn't surprise me if we get 1 or 2, and maybe one of those could be a white position. I just hope it in somebody who's looking wet lettuce that can't get stuck in, because that's not what we need, is it? We don't need those type. Not this season. We don't need those type of players. We need more Ledson types, smash someone's face in. So it'll be interesting. It'll be. I can't believe it's only a couple of weeks away. It's gone so quick, hasn't it? It's gone so quick. I'm just looking forward to getting back there because at the moment I'm having to go with the missus shopping and doing like I say going to parties and fuck that. Let's get back to the football and sack the family off like the good dad I am. So on that note, I think is there anything else anyone wants to discuss? Because we've been at it a while there. I think that's everything in it. Let's look forward to Burnley and let's hope we get Alfie May in. Let's hope he doesn't suddenly go to Charlton last minute and we all go in meltdown like last season.
Yeah.
And but it's nice to be excited before the season starts and we all get miserable again. So let's all stay positive. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you can subscribe to Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, it helps us out massively. Drop us a like as well, because I've seen there's a lot of people watching tonight, which is amazing. Thank you so much for your support and all your comments. It means a lot to me and the lads, and it's great that you all get involved with all your comments and questions. So keep it coming, and share the link with your mates as well. If you think anyone would be interested in watching us this rabble, then share it. And let's see how we go. But for now, we'll see you soon and up the town.
Town.